Ціль знищена, здетонувала в повітрі, зафіксуйте місце час.
The Russian Air Force is going through some hard times. A Russian MiG-31 fighter jet crashed during landing in the Lipetsk region after a scheduled training flight, the Defense Ministry said. Today, at approximately 7:20 p.m. Moscow time, a MiG-31 aircraft crashed during landing after a scheduled training flight in the Lipetsk region. The crew ejected, and there is no threat to the pilots' lives, it said in a statement. It added that the aircraft fell in an uninhabited area and was not carrying any ammunition at the time of the crash. The MiG-31, a long-range supersonic interceptor, has been in service with the Russian Air Force since the 1980s and is frequently used for patrol and training missions. Ukrainian Special Operations Forces also confirmed they carried out deep strike attacks overnight on Lukoil's Korobkovsky gas processing plant and the Yefimovka dispatch station in Russia's Volgograd region. The Korobkovsky facility handles up to 450 million cubic meters of natural and associated gas annually. Taking advantage of the deteriorating weather conditions that made it difficult for drones to operate, Russians deployed more than 40 armored vehicles for a massive mechanized assault near the villages of Volodymyrivka and Novulanivka near the Dobropilsky Ledge. This was reported by the press service of the 1st Azov Corps of the National Guard and Deep State. Near Volodymyrivka, in the area of responsibility of the 1st Azov Corps of the National Guard, the Russians launched an offensive with a total of 35 units of heavy armored vehicles. According to the National Guard, as a result of defensive actions, 1 armored tractor, 3 tanks, and 16 armored personnel carriers were destroyed and damaged. The enemy also lost 41 motorcycles and 2 light vehicles. Confirmed enemy losses in this sector amounted to 107 occupants killed and 51 wounded. The enemy's goal was to capture the village of Shakhov, the Corps said. The enemy conducted offensive actions in several waves and from different directions. At first, groups of motorcyclists moved forward, followed by columns of armored vehicles, tanks, and armored personnel carriers with infantrymen. Thanks to previously conducted engineering mining activities and coordinated actions of the Ukrainian Defense Forces units, primarily artillery crews and unmanned aerial vehicle crews, the enemy's plans were thwarted. The fiercest fighting took place near and inside Volodymyrivka. The enemy managed to land 32 infantrymen there, 12 of whom were eliminated immediately. The rest tried to hide in destroyed houses and basements. In the evening and at night, crews of heavy bombers worked on these shelters. As of the morning of October 10th, there was no movement of enemy infantry in Volodymyrivka. The enemy's assault failed, Azov representatives said. According to deep state analysts, in addition to the assault on Volodymyrivka, the Russians attacked with a mechanized column near Novulanivka. Taking advantage of the bad weather conditions, simultaneously with the assault in the area of Volodymyrivka, the Russians used 8 armored vehicles, which the defense forces, in particular the operators of unmanned systems of the 93rd Brigade, managed to neutralize on the approach to the line of contact. As a result of the repulse, 1 unit of enemy armored vehicles was destroyed and 2 were damaged. The rest immediately retreated, making no further offensive attempts. During 2025, although the Russians did not stop using armored vehicles altogether, they significantly reduced the use of armored vehicles due to the high saturation of the battlefield with drones. However, with the onset of autumn and an increase in the number of days with no flying time, they again stepped up the use of armored vehicles, using the stocks accumulated during the downtime. A close-range shoot-down of a Russian Shahed drone from a Ukrainian helicopter.
Ціль знищена, здетонувала в повітрі, зафіксуйте місце час.
Despite progress, including holding Pokrovsk, inflicting tangible casualties, and striking Russia's oil and gas infrastructure, it would be dangerous for Europe to assume that Ukraine has this. The battlefield situation has improved but remains suboptimal. The recent negative dynamics in Kupiansk show that the fundamental issue of Ukraine's military remains. It is forced to operate in a fire brigade fashion, reinforcing threatened sectors of the front such as Pokrovsk at the cost of other directions. As Tatrigami's team's investigation into desertions shows, Russian troops are abandoning their posts at increasingly growing rate. Yet desertions still remain more frequent on the Ukrainian side, and Moscow is more effective at returning its troops to the front. Russia's position has clearly deteriorated. Their gains in 2025 are very poor relatively to the cost. Morale is probably close to its lowest point. Recruitment is faltering. But even so, the Kremlin continues to find ways to replenish its forces, at least for now. The bottom line: Ukraine's recent successes are no reason for complacency. Russia's military and economy are under strain, but neither is on the verge of collapse. If the goal is to end the war, a greater pressure must be applied to Russia, both economically and militarily. Zelensky says Ukraine will nominate Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize if he delivers Tomahawk missiles and helps secure a ceasefire. The missiles, with 1,500-kilometer range, would let Ukraine hit deep into Russia. Trump says he's sort of decided, but wants clarity on how they'd be used. Medvedev thanked North Korea for its support and said that this deed would forever remain in their hearts.
The true nature of relationships, both between people and between countries, is revealed during times of trial. This fully applies to the alliance of our countries. We are grateful to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea for its firm support of the special military operation. Our soldiers fought shoulder to liberate the Kursk region. Those feet will forever remain in our hearts.
Ukraine's parliament has passed the first reading of a bill to create cyber forces within the armed forces. The new branch will operate under the direct command of the commander-in-chief and focus on defending military networks, leading cyber operations, and cooperating with NATO. Civilians may be contracted to support missions without becoming servicemen. This is true. In the United States, Russians are driving around with Z terrorism symbols on their cars. If you care about national security, then realize these people are the risk. They support genocide and murder openly. ICE should be raiding their homes and sending them back to Russia.
Why is this happening in our modern world, in the United States?
Because Russians will do whatever they can get away with. And right now in America, they feel emboldened. They feel emboldened because the American military rolled out a red carpet for Putin. So they went to a pro-Ukraine rally, put out terrorist symbols. They laughed at people who were highlighting stolen Ukrainian children, who were highlighting genocide. If you're concerned about national security in the United States, ICE should be raiding the homes of Russians who are driving around in cars with these kind of registration plates. Z Crimea. These people are openly pro-terrorism. Being supportive of what happened to Crimea and being supportive of what Russia is doing to this country every single day is open supporting of terrorism. But this is the same situation in Europe. The Schengen has allowed 530,000 tourist visas of Russians in the last year. And this is basically allowing people who are openly genocidal into our countries. And every single one of them should be sent home, every single one. And anyone that calls me racist for saying this, I actually couldn't give a fuck. Because Russia is the most racist country on earth. They support the murder of Ukrainians. They support the genocide of an entire population, of an ethnic group. So they can call me that all they want. I actually couldn't care less. When you have the American military roll out a carpet like that, Russians in America, Russians who are very happy for this war to take place, feel like they can go outside and scream in the streets in support of genocide and murder. And I think every single one of them should be sent back to Russia. But they don't want to go to Russia. And that's strange. They want to live in America. And it's always ironic because Russians who are so patriotic about their motherland don't want to live there. Maybe that's because it's a shithole. Maybe because Russia is a mafia state. It's a place that's actually uninhabitable for a civilized world. And so they go abroad and spread their nationalism, their fake nationalism. And I don't think any of them should be allowed tourist visas anywhere in civilized countries.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.